This is part one of a book review about Wilful, Blindness by Sam Cooper. As you just saw in the screenshot, his profile on a global news website states that he doesn't have a university degree and he only has a 1 or 2 year certificate in journalism from Langara College, which isn't a university in Canada. If you read past the second chapter of Willful Blindness, you can tell right away that the author of this book does not have a university education, and you can tell that he's a very young man who doesn't have any life experience or very little life experience. This guy's in his early 20s. He barely started out in real life yet, and he's just writing all this China hate. He's using Chinese Canadians as a human shield while he's slandering and defaming the government of China and China. He tries to link Chinese organized crime to the high real estate cost in Canada, and he also tries to link Chinese organized crime to the government of Canada. But there's no real link, there's no proof, and in real life, this is just not possible. Well, I'll start off with Chinese organized crime. In this book over here, he only focuses on Chinese organized crime, but he doesn't say anything about Mexican organized crime, white biker gang organized crime in Canada. He doesn't say anything about multicultural Canadian organized crime, or the Italian mafia in Quebec, or French organized crime. So he just blames it all on quote unquote Chinese organized crime. And for these organized crime groups that Sam over here mentions, there's only less than 100 people and associates combined. If you do your research, most of them are insignificant players. So how can organized crime control a real estate market of a big country like Canada with 40 million people in Canada? Everybody is spread out. Canada is a spread out country, big land mass with 40 million people almost, and more people coming, 1 million people immigrating to Canada a year. He fails to mention about quantitative easing by central banks around the whole world. Quantitative easing by central bank just means they're printing more money. They're turning on their government cash printing machines at full blast for 24/7. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for the full year. They're basically printing more money printing more money and giving the money to the government, who would spend on infrastructure products, welfare, and they also give this money to the banks on loan, and combine it with the historical low interest rates. It's just in low interest rates, just encouraging all 40 million people in Canada to borrow more money because the interest rate is so low. If interest rates were 30 or 40%, it would scare everybody off from borrowing money. But right now, it's only 5 or 10. It's not even 5. It's not even 10. It's close to around 5 to borrow money to buy a house or a condo. So when the government prints, central banks / governments around the world printing all this pile of money, paper money, and handing it around, and low interest rates, the banks are gonna want to lend this money out and make money from interest. People pay interest to the banks. So in this book here, Sam Cooper clearly doesn't have life experience. He's too young. He's in his early 20s still. He didn't have decades or even 15 years like me to think everything through. I used to be a young man like him, and I know when you're 20 or 25 years old, you don't have enough time to think everything through yet in your life and this world. I'm much older than Sam Cooper, and people like me, I've read enough books on Amazon. I read 50 books a year on Amazon. I know what a well written book is like. Sam Cooper here lacks ideas. He's very biased. He's narrow-minded, and he just doesn't understand anything about central banks, the financial system, interest rates, economics. He clearly does not have a university level education and does not have enough life experience to know what's going on. Sam Cooper here, he's just paid off. He's just recruited and groomed by somebody to make up fake news, to make the government of China look bad, and link the government of China to organized crime groups, which is absolutely fake news. And he also uses the good reputation and name of Chinese Canadians to hide behind of. He's basically using us Chinese Canadians as a human shield to criticize the government of China, talk about organized crime, and he also makes up fake news about how the Canada and the province of British Columbia is a failed state, like it's Mexico. Canada is not like Mexico, where it's a failed state where organized crime runs the place. No, same with the province of British Columbia. It's not a failed state over there in Canada or BC yet. It's not Venezuela. So this guy, I'll start off, in this part 1, I'll start off with going over chapter 1 and chapter 2. Chapter 2 is only 3 or 4 pages long. This is just the range. And it talks about the same, basically a continuation of chapter 1. It should be together. So in the beginning of chapter 1, Benny starts off with this character who's going through a drive from New Westminster over to downtown Vancouver. And in chapter 2, it's like deja vu. I thought when I was reading chapter 2, I thought I was on the wrong page and starting from chapter 1 again. This book here is just poorly written. I read on average, I read 50 books a year on Amazon Kindle. I know what a well-written book is, and Sam Cooper here is a terrible author, no university degree, and no experience in journalism or in real life. Somewhere in the preface or foreword to these people, Sam Cooper and his China.He friends, they mention that China's the number 1 source of heroin in the 1990s and 2000s. That's just fake news too. You cannot get hard drugs or heroin in China. If government people or average people in China get caught for drug trafficking, you'll get your day in court and you'll be killed by the government. You'll get executed. There's a zero tolerance policy in China for drugs. There are no drugs, and there's no drug problem here in China. And just think about this. In this book here, Sam thinks that top level government of China folks here are involved in the drug trade, whether it be fentanyl or heroin or crystal meth or whatever. That's just fake news. So if these people own a company or factory that makes these drugs and they ship it to like Shanghai or whatever port city where they load this stuff in containers or postal mail or air freight, and look, China Customs is going to do random inspections. When China Customs employees find drugs, how would it look why would these employees and the manager of this China customs team that finds these drugs, how are they going to react? Are they going to sacrifice their career and livelihood and risk possible jail time or execution to help somebody, a high level government person in Beijing? I just don't think so. Nobody, whether it be China Customs employees, their manager, or a police officer, whatever, nobody is going to put their own reputation, their own livelihood, and risk their life in jail or get executed to help another government official, whether they be communists, party members, or whatever, or police officers. This is just more derangement from Sam Cooper. It's just very biased here. And Sam, he doesn't understand Chinese culture in Vancouver. Like he said, Chinese people make up 40% of the population. He doesn't understand Chinese culture. And in a lot of people, he thinks that people can just finish school at 18 or 20 or 25 years old, and 10 years is enough time to make money and save money to buy a home or condo. No, he doesn't understand that Chinese people in Vancouver and Canada, Chinese Canadians, they have intergenerational wealth. And also, a lot of people, the traditional Chinese culture, the old people, the parents will live with the oldest son. But right now, anything goes. So basically, these old people who bought this house in the 1980s, 1970s, or 1990s, they'll either build a bigger house, or the house is already big enough, so they'll live with one of their children, whether it be the oldest son or the daughter or younger son or whatever. So they'll live with the daughter-in-law and the grandchildren. So it's a 3-generation household, and a lot of people, Chinese people, they've been living there for a long time, and their grandparents could have died, and they leave an inheritance, and people. So it's just increasing the money supply this way. And Sam also keeps talking about acting like organized crime through the drug trade is China's only income source, and all the rich people from mainland China are involved in the drug trade. He blames it on organized crime and drug trade for the high real estate costs, but this is fake news too. Why doesn't he blame it on China being the factory of the world? All the big box stores like Walmart, Canadian Tire, Home Depot, and whatever, Amazon, they all buy stuff that's manufactured in China. So all these big box stores will give billions and billions of dollars to people in China who own a successful business, manufacture successful products. I think Walmart is much bigger than organized crime and the drug trade, because everybody can be a customer when it comes to Walmart, Canadian Tire, Home Depot, and whatever building supplies. So basically, if, for example, Home Depot is going to buy $2 million worth of towel racks and toilet seats from a factory in China, do you think that factory wants payment in China? I don't think so. What they do is that factory, the supplier will open a bank account, a company bank account in Hong Kong, or even in Canada or USA. They can have a bank account anywhere. So Home Depot, Canadian Tires, or Walmart, they'll pay the supplier through the Canadian bank account, American bank account, or Hong Kong bank account. And the supplier can then choose how much they want to transfer back to mainland China to pay their employees and pay for the raw materials and cover their own cost of living and cost of running a business. So they have the option to leave profit outside of mainland China and Hong Kong, Canadian banks or American banks or European banks or whatever. And if their children can have the opportunity to study overseas, learn English, and get some more life experience or buy a home, they can use their overseas money that never entered mainland China to buy. And also in the foreword or preface, there's this guy, professor, I forgot what his name was. There's a white guy. He says, why does Huawei CFO have two multi-million-dollar homes in Vancouver when she's not a permanent resident or Canadian citizen? He fails to mention that those two homes were not owned by the Huawei CFO herself. They're owned by her husband, her second husband, which they're still married, but this is her second marriage. So it was owned by her second husband, and the guy lived there for a long time. two of their children lived in Vancouver for a long time and went to high school in Vancouver. So that's the explanation of why she has two multi-million-dollar homes. She's not just buying it to launder money. They actually lived in both of these houses and there were children growing up there. This book is just omitting facts to make China look bad, look China this, China that, organized crime, this and that. And Huawei CFO, she used to be a permanent resident of Canada. No such thing as a Canadian permanent resident, but she was a permanent resident of Canada, but she eventually gave it up because she doesn't meet the residency requirements and tax filings. So that shows that she's honest. She didn't do fake stuff, something shady to keep her permanent resident of Canada status. And this book also says that Huawei CFO was carrying 8 passports or something. Well, this is just fake news too. This is just an exaggeration. They were expired. She had 7 previous passports, but they were all expired. They cut the corner or punch a hole in it. You can keep your own passports and travel with your valid one. That's what I do. I have 3 or 4 passports in the last 15 years. They got stamped. They got stamped so many times that I ran out. So I just carry it for fun anyway. Sometimes in my that travel bag that I have, I got my valid passport, and I also got my other old passports I like to keep as a momentum, or a souvenir, whatever that word is. I forgot what it's called, how to say it, but it's just like a souvenir. And also, sometimes if you have a visa for another country but your passport expires, you can still, or if you renew your passport early, you can still use the visa in your old passport but travel with your new one. I did that a few times, close to 15 years ago here in China. I had too many stamps on it. I'm a Hong Kong resident, so nope, Hong Kong didn't stamp me at that time. And I used my Canadian passport, come to mainland China, and they stamped it all. I got 2 passports in 1 year because of all the stamps. So this book here, it's not they omitting facts to give people the false impression, and they make up fake news. A lot of the people are CMP and other government workers in BC and Canada. They're real people, but Sam here, other characters, nobody knows who they are, and Sam's here is just bending all the rules. He's omitting facts. So I'll just stop talking now and start getting on with the book review. Oh, and one more thing, I also want to mention, this what I'm talking about and what I'm doing here, it's not foreign interference from China or the government of China or whatever. When I'm talking about Canada, I'm a Canadian citizen here, Canadian citizen by birth, Hong Kong ancestry over here, and I do have a strong connection to China, mainland China, because I got a residence here. I'm not sure if you can see it. Residence over here, it says residence. So I got unlimited stay in mainland China, also with no condition of stay, unlimited stay, because my wife is a Chinese citizen, and I've been here for in Hong Kong slash mainland China for almost 12 years, and this is basically my permanent home. But I'm still a Canadian citizen by birth, and this isn't foreign interference like all the fake news from Sam Cooper and Benny Rogers and all the other China haters out there. Just more fake news to justify their white supremacy way of thinking, and they want to be colonialist again. In the foreword over here by Charles Burton, what we have here is a white supremacist who advocates and wants to spread European values for security policy. States over here And at the bottom of this highlighted part, it said he talks about Chinese Canadians. He's trying to use the good name and reputation of Chinese Canadians as a human shield to criticize and spread fake news and hate about China. This is all just more make as we go through this book. There's a lot of make believe fake news. He's heavily biased. He's a white supremacist who's trying to use Chinese Canadians as a human shield for his China hating bashing. On the second page of the foreword by Charles Burton here, he's basically doing what Sam Cooper's trying to do, trying to link criminal organization, organized crime to the government of China. I just mentioned earlier that's just not possible, and I showed my reasons. Nobody wants to risk their career and reputation, livelihood for this type of thing. There's more fake news, and also mentioned that organized crime proceeds, like the drug trade, are not China's primary source of global trade income. China is the factory of the world. They have income from all the big box stores and all the car manufacturers. All the parts and accessories come from China. And on the third page of this foreword over here, it tries to link organized crime to the high real estate costs in Canada, and also to organized crime to the government of China, which is all fake news. Low interest rates and quantitative easing from central banks plays a bigger role. The whole world has high real estate prices that are out of proportion to what middle class people earn. It's not just a Canadian thing. It's worldwide. It's a European thing, a British thing, American thing, Canadian thing, and also in Hong Kong and China. Real estate prices in the big cities in China and provincial capitals are out of proportion to what people earn, and there's no organized crime in China, no drug trade. This is just absolutely fake news. And at the bottom paragraph here talks about why Huawei CFO has two multi-million-dollar homes. I will explain that earlier in my video. Her husband and children used to live there, and so many passports. That's just fake news. Her 8th passport was a valid passport, but the previous 7 passports were no longer valid. So this is just omitting facts. And I saw the photos of Huawei CFO's home in Vancouver. A 5-bedroom house is not a mansion. I'm sorry. Everybody in Vancouver has a quote-unquote big house like that. So these dumb people, white people who are dumb, not all of them, of course. So these dumb people think that everything is a luxury. They think eating at a restaurant's a luxury, having university education is luxury, and having a 5-bedroom home is a luxury. That's just sad. These people, all these fake news people are sad. And later on in the foreword, two pages later, it says Sam Cooper has based a lot of this book on classified information leaked to him by brave RCMP officers. I just have a hard time believing this. This is just more make-believe fake news. And even if somebody did leak classified documents, why would RCMP person risk their career and also their pension and reputation? And if this thing is based on classified documents, this leak is illegal. And Sam Cooper and the fake news publisher, anti-China publisher, OP Publishing, who published this book, and also Benny Rogers, China Next, all of these people are just engaging in organized crime in themselves. This is organized crime. If you're leaking classified government documents, this is this just falls into national security and treason. These people, if this is real, these people are traitors to Canada and the government of Canada. Absolutely piece of pile of crap. These people, these traitors. Later on in the preface, it's written by a guy called Tung Biao. So this is the common link between Sam Cooper in Wilful Blindness, this book here, and also China Nexus by Benny Rogers. This Tung Biao guy is a self-hater from mainland China. He's a peed-off professional propagandist and liar to smear and defame his own country, China. He's a self-hater. He's basically mentioned in both of these books, China Nexus and Wilful Blindness. Here he continues to spread his fake news in his highlighted section about Uyghurs, Tibetans, and Hong Kongers. In previous book reviews about China Next, I already proved it wrong. This is just fake news created by this self-hater here who went to the United States. And also, this guy's a Chinese citizen working in the United States with a visa, working at an American university. When this guy Tung Biao tries to get involved in the Canadian politics, he's not a Chinese Canadian. I mean, he's not a Canadian citizen. He's just trying to spread hate and anti-Asian hate in Canada and create fake news and create suspicion around the Chinese community. This is a national security issue. He's trying to destabilize Canada, and over here he's just trying to holding government to account should not be conflated with racism. He's just using the good reputation and name of Chinese Canadians again to hide behind as a human shield while defaming and slandering China's good reputation. Also, this is just more fake news, spreading his Falun Gong, Tibet, Uyghur, and fake news using the good name of Chinese Canadians. This is an insult to Chinese Canadians' intelligence, and this is an insult to all Canadian citizens' intelligence. On the next page of the preface here talks about 2 Canadian citizens detained in China. Yeah, unfortunately, they were detained. Canada is just the middle person between what the United States is doing and China trying to defend itself. The charges against the Huawei CFO were trumped up, and Justin Trudeau was too dumb and just blindly followed orders from the Americans. Huawei CFO was doing a transfer flight through Vancouver to Mexico. Mexico has a extradition treaty with the United States, so they could have just waited for Huawei CFO to arrive in Mexico and United States do an extradition treaty, extradition request with Mexico, but clearly the United States values the relationship with Mexico more than Canada. Canada is just a punching bag for the United States. They don't want to. United States doesn't want to get Mexico in trouble and use Mexico as a punching bag in the middle, and also. So Canada's stuck in the middle between the United States and China trying to defend itself. And Donald Trump also tricked Chrystia Freeland and Justin Trudeau because these people are dumb. They don't have enough experience. And there was a trade war going on between the United States and China. And so China wasn't happy with the United States, and they were planning to buy more agricultural products from Canada. China was planning to buy more agricultural products from Canada, such as grain and animal and pork and all that. But when Canada acts as the lapdog to arrest the Huawei CFO, China wasn't happy, and Donald Trump just cut a new deal with China after that, increasing imports of American agricultural and animal products from the USA to China. If Canada did not arrest the Huawei CFO, China would not have made a deal with the United States to increase imports of American agricultural and farm products. But now, since they're angry with Canada, they're just going to cut a deal with the United States themselves. Donald Trump's going to take advantage of this hate of Canada from China and use the Huawei CFO as a bargaining chip. And basically, the United States ate Canada's lunch, took away Canada's business and profits from exporting agricultural and farm products to China. On the third page of the preface by Teng Biao, it says China's acting aggressive internationally at the top here, but this is fake news because China stays within its internationally recognized borders recognized by the UN. China doesn't go around invading other countries around the world, whether it be Africa or the Middle East, trying to bomb people, kill people. United States is the number one warmonger since World War II. And at the second paragraph here, it says China is trying to create a new international order. But this is just fake news too, because what China is doing is just a continuation of the system created by the UK and United States in the last 200 years, or at least since World War II. China is part of the global trade world. They manufacture goods and export goods. China's a factory of the world, so why would China screw this up when this current system is working for China? And the United States and other Western countries, they don't have an international order, and there is no world order, rules-based order, because all the United States, they just make and create the orders as they go, and they choose to ignore the rules and previous actions, previous agreements and conventions and norms if it doesn't suit their needs. So United States ignores social norms, international relation norms if it doesn't suit their needs, and they create new ones as they go if it fits their needs. This is just hegemony. This is just hypocritical.